History is full of details that sound impossible until you see the system behind them. From separate voting buildings in Bangui to an escape involving an elephant, these are the turns textbooks usually skip. In Bangui, the same election sent Europeans and Africans to different buildings. One vote, two entrances, two rooms. That happened in the 1946 Representative Council election. Bangui was under a colonial system that sorted public life by race. The voting setup itself separated Europeans and Africans into separate polling spaces. The buildings made the division visible before anyone cast a ballot. So political participation was unequal before the count even began. The route to the vote was already split at the door. Two buildings, one election, and a colonial map drawn across Bangui. The reminder sits in the architecture and the voter's path. Paul Idlout was moved to the high Arctic as a youth. A government decision sent him far north. The Canadian government had the power to relocate people into remote northern places. In this case, policy reached into a young life. The striking part is the distance. A youth was taken from one place and placed into a remote Arctic setting with little around it. That move shaped Paul Idlout's early years in the north. His path began with relocation, not choice. A child, a northern horizon, and a policy decision stayed linked in one life. The image is simple: snow, distance, and a small figure under the Arctic sky. In 1867, a peace congress in Geneva talked about a United States of Europe. The international gathering brought together people who linked peace with political structure, not just quiet borders. The odd part is simple: European unity was already being framed as a solution, decades before modern integration. The idea did not become reality then, but the Congress shows how early that political language appeared. In Geneva, a bold map idea sat beside a peace meeting, waiting for a future Europe that had not arrived yet. A minister's anti-war activism put him on the radar of federal investigators. Charles A. Hill was not a politician, but his pulpit drew attention. The House Un-American Activities Committee was scanning public life for signs of disloyalty. In the Cold War, sermons and speeches could be read as political signals. Hill's anti-war stance mattered because it landed in a tense era of suspicion. A minister speaking from the pulpit could seem to cross from faith into politics. The result was scrutiny, not just disagreement. Attention from the committee turned a public message into a matter for a hearing. What stays with the story is the distance between a pulpit and a hearing room. One voice, one committee, and a minister named Charles A. Hill. Charlotte's oldest black Baptist church was designed by its first black mayor. That is a rare pairing in one building. The congregation was already a major part of local black religious life. City leadership and church life crossed paths here. The odd detail is concrete. The same man who led the city also shaped the church building itself. His hand reached beyond politics and into the plan. That design became part of the congregation's daily surroundings. Every doorway and wall carried both civic and sacred memory. So one Charlotte church holds two histories in plain view. A city mayor's design still meets the congregation at the front steps. During the Siege of Naples in 536, local Jews mounted the strongest resistance. That detail is unusual, and it changes who you picture on the walls. The city was under attack by the Byzantines. Inside the walls, different local groups faced the same siege and the same pressure. The key detail is that defense came from a local group the story often overlooks. In Naples, that meant Jews were not on the edge of the siege story. Their resistance became the most forceful response in the siege. The pressure of attack met a defense shaped by people already living there. So the walls of Naples held more than soldiers. They held neighbors, including Jews, whose place in the city became visible in the siege. In Virgil's Aeneid, a golden branch appears as a small, strange object. It keeps showing up far beyond the poem. That image moved from an ancient epic into modern cultural memory. Artists and readers kept returning to it because it was vivid and portable. It reached Turner, Yeats, and an anthropological study of ritual murder. One branch became a clue, a symbol, and a case study. That made one literary detail travel across disciplines. A line in an epic could shape a painting, a poem, and a theory of ritual. So the journey runs from page to canvas to notebook. A branch in the Aeneid still points toward Turner, Yeats, and a scholar's desk. Ladislav Zgusta escaped Czechoslovakia to the United States, and part of that trip involved an elephant. The journey began under conditions that made ordinary travel difficult. A border, paperwork, and distance turned every mile into a problem. The strange part was the elephant itself. It became one leg of the route, an improvised ride inside an otherwise difficult escape. Even with that unexpected middle stretch, he reached the United States. The route changed, but the destination stayed fixed. A border crossing, a hard escape, and one elephant all sit in the same story. What remains is a suitcase, a route, and a name on the move. If one of these stories changed how you see history, the rest will too. Subscribe for more overlooked facts, and tell us which episode surprised you most.